He was one of television's most iconic faces, calm, commanding, and always in control. But behind the courtroom bravado and smooth delivery, Raymond Burr was hiding more than just the truth. He was hiding his entire life. From secret relationships and silent feuds to the shocking list of actors he despised, Burr's off-screen story was filled with mystery, resentment, and revelations that would leave fans stunned. How could someone so respected be so guarded? And why did he carry such deep-seated hatred for these 7 famous names? The answers reveal a side of Raymond Burr the world was never meant to see, and once you hear it, you'll never look at Perry Mason the same way again. To the world, Robert Young was the ultimate television dad, warm, wise, and always in control. But to Raymond Burr, he was everything Burr couldn't stand. Burr reportedly despised Young's squeaky clean image, calling it a lie wrapped in a sweater vest. He believed Young was phony to the core, a man who played kind and compassionate on camera while privately battling demons. Burr thought he never truly addressed. The tension wasn't just about personality. Burr felt Young represented an old-school Hollywood hypocrisy, one that rewarded surface charm and punished authenticity. Burr, a deeply private man who hid his sexuality for decades, resented actors like Young, who he believed coasted on sanitized personas while others lived in fear of being exposed. The two men never worked together, and perhaps that was intentional. Burr once turned down a guest spot on a variety special featuring Young, telling a friend, "I'd rather face a firing squad than pretend to laugh with that man." Was it envy? Or did Burr simply see through the mask before anyone else did? One thing's clear to Raymond Burr: father didn't know best. He was just another actor in a costume. George Nader and Raymond Burr had more in common than Hollywood ever knew. Both were leading men. Both carved out careers in the shadowy margins of mid-century fame. And both shared a secret that could have destroyed them. They were gay in an industry that demanded silence. But instead of bonding them, that secret drove a wedge between them. Nader, handsome, charming, and backed by Universal, was everything Burr wasn't. Openly warm, socially agile, and rumored to be in a long-term relationship with his agent, Rock Hudson's former lover. Burr, meanwhile, played the stoic outsider, constantly dodging questions about his wives and lost child stories many believe he fabricated to survive. According to studio insiders, Burr viewed Nader as a threat not just to his career, but to his carefully managed image. He feared that Nader's quiet confidence and growing popularity could expose everything Burr had worked so hard to hide. When Nader's career took a nosedive after his sexuality was outed in the late 1960s, Burr didn't speak out and didn't offer help. In fact, one account claims Burr refused to appear at a fundraiser where Nader was the guest of honor, telling a confidant, "We're not the same kind of risk." The truth? They were mirror images, but only one could bear the reflection. On Perry Mason, William Tallman played Hamilton Berger, the prosecutor who never could beat Raymond Burr in court. But off-screen, Burr saw Tallman not as a rival, but as a liability. Tallman was unpredictable. Brilliant on camera, yes, but off-camera, combustible. He drank heavily. He partied harder. And in 1960, everything came crashing down when he was arrested in a Hollywood Hills house raid. The charges? Lewd behavior, drugs, nudity. The stuff CBS nightmares are made of. Burr was furious not because Tallman got caught, but because his scandal threatened everything Burr was hiding. If the press started digging around the cast, who knew what they'd uncover? The network fired Tallman almost instantly. Burr didn't protest. In fact, insiders say he privately pushed for Tallman's removal, worried the scandal might get too close to his own carefully hidden truth. Tallman begged for his job back. The public rallied. Burr stayed silent. Eventually, CBS rehired Tallman, but things were never quite the same. On set, Burr kept him at arm's length. Cold. Calculated. Like a man building a wall between himself and a reflection he didn't want to see. Because Burr knew. Tallman's downfall was a warning. One wrong move, and it could have been him. Charles Boyer had the voice, the charm, the continental mystique. To audiences, he was the suave Frenchman, a velvet-voiced heartthrob. But to Raymond Burr, Boyer was something else entirely. a threat wrapped in silk and ego. When their paths crossed in Hollywood's elite social circles, Burr hoped for camaraderie. Instead, he got condescension. Boyer dismissed him privately, calling him a television man, as if the small screen were a second-class stage. Worse still, Boyer was flawlessly connected. He moved among diplomats, aristocrats, and European royalty. He had charm, but also influence. And in Burr's world of carefully curated lies, influence was dangerous. Insiders say Boyer once made a cutting remark at a party, an insinuation about Burr's unmarried lifestyle. Burr laughed it off, but his eyes went cold. Boyer had struck too close. From that night on, Burr avoided him and, when possible, undermined him. He discouraged producers from hiring Boyer for guest roles on Perry Mason. Subtle, quiet, but deliberate. Because Raymond Burr didn't just fear exposure. He feared men like Boyer, men who saw too clearly, spoke too freely, and played by no one's rules but their own. To most, Adam West was harmless, a square-jawed hero in tights, saving Gotham with a wink and a gadget. But to Raymond Burr, West was something worse than silly. He was ridiculous. When Batman exploded in the mid-1960s, its tone all bright colors, goofy villains, and ironic flair was everything Burr hated about where television was going. While Burr built Perry Mason on gravitas and moral certainty, West's Batman punched crime with a pow and a punchline. It didn't help that West was everywhere: magazine covers, talk shows, toy shelves. He became the face of television's new era, youth-driven, self-aware, and proudly unserious. Burr, with his towering presence and carefully guarded secrets, saw it as a mockery of substance. Behind closed doors, Burr sneered at West's performance. He'd call him the clown in the cowl and refer to Batman as television for toddlers. Worse yet, Burr worried that West's popularity was a signal. The public didn't care about dignity anymore. One mutual acquaintance recalled a Hollywood dinner where West playfully referred to Burr as TV's Iron Curtain, a nod to his privacy. Burr forced a smile. He never spoke to West again. Because to Burr, Adam West wasn't just a comic book punchline, he was proof that the world no longer wanted men like Raymond Burr. On paper, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. and Raymond Burr should have been allies. Both were Warner Brothers contract stars. Both carried long-running television dramas, The FBI for Zimbalist, Perry Mason for Burr, and both projected a certain steely masculinity that defined 1950s and 60s television. But off-screen, their relationship was a masterclass in polite contempt. Zimbalist, a Yale-educated actor with an impeccable pedigree and unshakable charm, was beloved by studio executives. He was the safe bet, clean-cut, dependable, and always-on message. Burr, in contrast, was mercurial, guarded, and increasingly resentful of the studio machine that both elevated and constrained him. Their friction began subtly: scheduling conflicts, billing debates, rumors that Zimbalist was being quietly offered roles Burr had expressed interest in. But the real tension came from what wasn't said. Behind the scenes, insiders say Burr viewed Zimbalist as a studio darling, a symbol of the kind of obedient star system Burr detested. He reportedly referred to him as the company man in a tailored suit and accused Warner Brothers of picking polish over power. Zimbalist, for his part, rarely acknowledged any conflict. He kept things cordial, which only irritated Burr more. The fact that Zimbalist never said a bad word about anyone was, to Burr, a power play in itself. They never clashed publicly. No fiery showdown, no gossip column feud. But if you knew where to look, the avoided glances at events, the lukewarm endorsements in press interviews, you could see the frost. Because sometimes, in Hollywood, the coldest wars are the quietest ones. John Forsythe was the embodiment of Hollywood charm's suave, polished, and effortlessly charismatic. Known for his roles in hits like Dynasty and Charlie's Angels, Forsythe had a magnetic presence that made him the darling of both audiences and industry insiders. But for Raymond Burr, Forsythe represented everything he distrusted about the business. Burr valued depth and grit in acting, believing that success was earned through talent and hard work, not just connections or good looks. Forsythe's smooth social ease and ability to navigate Hollywood's elite circles rubbed Burr the wrong way. Behind closed doors, Burr reportedly saw Forsythe's charm as a mask for a more calculating nature, someone who relied on charisma rather than substance. Crew members and colleagues whispered about Burr's coldness toward Forsythe, interpreting it as a quiet disdain for what he saw as the shallow artifice of Hollywood's polished elite. Burr felt that true respect came from authenticity and dedication, not from glib smiles or social grace. Their interactions were polite but distant, a reflection of Burr's discomfort with those who seemed to glide through life on charm alone. In his eyes, Forsythe's popularity was less about genuine talent and more about playing the Hollywood game, something Burr never cared to master. This silent clash between charm and depth highlighted a deeper divide. Burr's relentless pursuit of artistic integrity versus the entertainment industry's often superficial spotlight. Raymond Burr's life and career were marked by contrasts: the intense, brooding talent beneath a calm exterior, the fiercely private man thrust into the public eye, the respected star who carried hidden resentments toward his peers. His relationships with fellow actors were often complicated, revealing the tensions between ego, artistry, and the demands of Hollywood's studio system. Yet, despite the rivalries, resentments, and silent grudges, Burr's legacy endures far beyond the backstage dramas. His portrayal of Perry Mason became an iconic figure in television history, setting a standard for the legal drama genre and inspiring generations of viewers and actors alike. Behind the scenes, those fractures and conflicts were part of the human story, a reminder that even stars who shine brightest can carry shadows. In reflecting on Burr's life, we see a man wrestling with his own ambitions and insecurities, navigating a world where success is as much about politics and image as it is about talent. It's a story of perseverance, complexity, and the costs of fame, a story that continues to captivate long after the final credits roll. Raymond Burr wasn't just a television legend. He was a man whose behind-the-scenes struggles reveal the intricate dance of Hollywood's golden age, where every friendship, rivalry, and whispered slight shaped the man behind the mask.